Welcome to the Vibrant Visibility Podcast. Being visible as a soul-led business owner isn't just about the practical strategies, marketing tips, and tech systems. It's also about the internal systems, the safety of your nervous system, the somatic connection, and the embodiment of being a badass CEO that will support you in all of the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. And I'm here to share all of that with you on this show. I'm your host, Shawnee Arsenault, a registered nurse turned visibility coach and business mentor for heart-centered coaches and healers. I created a six-figure coaching practice in my first year of business and scaled to multiple six figures my second year, all in the middle of getting pregnant with my first baby and becoming a new mama. If I can do this entrepreneurship thing, I know you can too. If you're ready to learn how to be a CEO in a way that feels aligned with your heart, become a lighthouse for the people that you're meant to serve, feel free to authentically express yourself and be a magnet for success, and grow your coaching business in a way that is sustainable and fulfilling, I can't wait to be in your ear along for the ride. Hello, my sweet friends. How are you? I have a pretty spicy episode today, and I just had this idea and I had to record a podcast. I was thinking about this in the shower, actually. It was one of those like shower ideas, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to capture this. So I immediately took out my voice memo app and started ranting about this concept. And I just recorded like a 6-minute voice memo on like my initial thoughts. And it is now probably, 3 hours later from the time that I recorded that 6-minute voice memo. And I was like, I have to actually record a podcast on it. So I sat down in my office and here I am, and we're going to talk about it. So, you know that saying, you've got to strike while the iron is hot, or, like when a coach says, there's a half-life of enthusiasm. You've only got so long before a potential client loses interest. Yeah, so today I am going to lovingly call bullshit on that. This is something that has been circling in my mind because I see it taught so often in sales programs. And while it does sound strategic on the surface, underneath it kind of feels like a sneaky way to apply pressure. And I am not a huge fan of that. So this episode is for those of you who want to sell in a way that honors your people's autonomy, who believe in empowering clients and not tricking them into buying. So I guess let's start with what is the half-life of enthusiasm for those of you who are hearing that term and you're like, okay, what is that? Maybe you've heard of it, but you're not entirely sure what it is. And the idea is like when someone expresses interest in your offer, their motivation starts to decay over time. And so the coach's job becomes then to close the sale first before that excitement fades. And I get where this is coming from. Like I get the psychology behind it, and decision fatigue is real for people. People do talk themselves out of aligned choices all the time, especially whenever things like fear creep in or lack of self-confidence or things like that. But I think the problem isn't that people lose clarity on what they want. I think the problem is actually that, when we try to control their decision-making timeline in a way that's laced with like that urgency, scarcity, or like, manipulation a little bit. Like that's the word that comes to mind whenever I think about this concept. Honestly, that's what it feels like for me, is manipulation. It's one of those industry phrases that kind of makes me squirm. Okay. And it just, for me, it subtly implies that people can't be trusted to make decisions unless you push them. And as a coach, like I do think it's a really highly nuanced skill to know when to challenge your clients, to know when it's appropriate to nudge a little bit harder, to push. But I think that there's an intuitive art to that. And I've been in those DMs. I've been on those sales calls where I'm the lead, right? And the person on the other side is trying to sell me into one of their programs, to sell me into one of their offers or whatever. And I've had those interactions where I can feel the energy shift, right? Like the minute I say I'm thinking about it, or I want to sleep on it, or I want to talk to my husband, or whatever that is, the whole vibe then changes. Like I can feel the vibe change. Suddenly there's a sense of urgency that I didn't ask for. And then I feel like I go from empowered to cornered. And it's not that I lost my enthusiasm about it. It's that I lost clarity because the space no longer felt safe. Like my role as a coach isn't to push people into saying yes. It's to hold space for their decision and trust that they are whole, they are complete, they are capable, they are wise enough to know what's right for them. Like I think about this all the time whenever I am being sold to, and maybe this wasn't always the case for me. Maybe my decision making skills have definitely improved over the last few years. But whenever I am on a sales call with someone who is trying to sell me into one of their programs, I know what I want, right? Like I know what things I need, I know where my gap is. I'm very self aware. And because I'm self aware, I usually have a pretty good idea, pretty good intuitive knowing of whether or not this space is right for me. And I also know that there are other factors to take into consideration. Like, is the investment realistic for where I'm at right now in my life and my business? Does this offer align with what my actual gap right now, where my business is at right now? Does this offer actually fill that gap? Is this something that I want in the future? Is this a nice to have kind of support? Or is this something that I know I need? Right. So here's how I like to sell with integrity, with heart, with a genuine care for the person that I'm speaking to, the person that I'm connecting with. Whether I'm in a launch or hopping on a clarity call or a mini session, my goal 100% of the time is not to convert. Okay. It's to create space where someone can feel into their decision, because people are going to convert if it feels in alignment for them, right? It's if I'm being authentic to myself, if I am being real and direct and not passive, people will be able to know whether or not it's the right fit for them. Okay. And, I talked about being super self aware. Most of my clients that I end up working with are deeply self aware. Okay. They know when something feels aligned. And then if they're unsure, that's not a no. It's a moment for pause. It's a moment for reflection and inquiry, not pressure. Like, I don't want FOMO buyers. I don't want someone to join my program because they felt like they were going to be left behind. I don't want them to sign up for coaching with me or to sign up for any of my offers hoping that it's going to fix whatever problem they're having. Like, I want them to join because it's a full body yes, because they resonate with me, with my energy, with my mission. I want them to feel it in their bones that, like, this is the type of support that would bring my business to the next level. Right? In coaching, we say, you're riding shotgun with your client. You're not the driver. You're not dragging them down the road. And the same goes for the sales process. It's just a different context. It's still a container where you are helping people make decisions for themselves. You are empowering people to make decisions for themselves. So framing it that way, like framing it in the way of like the half-life of enthusiasm, it kind of makes me feel that there's a sense of urgency on your part to close the sale, to do more, to change and morph who you are to allow that person to lean into that enthusiasm. So again, it's just a manipulative undertone, I think. And I don't really like calling it that. I don't really like calling it the half-life of enthusiasm. I never want people who join my programs to feel like they lack something. And that's why they're here. Like, your potential clients already have everything that they need at their fingertips, and they are the ones making the decisions for themselves. You as the coach, you as the healer, you as the business owner that has a service that you're offering them, your role is to open their eyes to the roadmap that they already have. And so I want to also talk about the word urgency, because that's also kind of used interchangeably with like half-life of enthusiasm. It falls in that same category, that same bucket. And I think you can have urgency. Urgency isn't bad, but there's a heart-led way to communicate urgency to your audience and to your potential clients. And there's also a very manipulative, like, gross way to do that. And it's really the intention behind the urgency that matters. There's a way to express and communicate urgency for your offers without telling people that, you're going to be missing out if you don't join now, or if you don't sign up now, if you don't buy now. And I think the term urgency can be a very off-putting word, but urgency is really just the container for the language that you use to let people know that your time and energy is valuable. Your time and energy is something to be honored. So if you're launching something on this date, the doors close on this date, that is urgency. If realistically you only have space for like 4 clients because maybe you're a mom, maybe you work part-time, maybe you have like other responsibilities, maybe you're caring for a sick parent, I don't know. But if you realistically only have space and time for 4 clients, that is in integrity and aligned with your values of being a heart-led business owner to tell people, I have limited space. I only have spaces for 4 clients. My schedule is booked. Like, that is in integrity versus manipulating people and kind of lying and twisting what the truth actually is to make people feel like coaching with you is an urgent matter. It's never an urgent matter, okay? It's never an urgent matter. Coaching is not an urgent investment. It's just not. It's an empowered investment. It's an elevating investment. Like, you don't want people to feel like coaching with you is an urgent matter. You want people to know that you have a boundary around your time and energy, and that's what makes it urgent. Not that they're going to be lacking something if they don't sign up with you. Like, that's shitty. That's a shitty way to make people feel. Urgency rooted in truth honors everyone's nervous system. Okay. Manipulation totally disrupts it. It makes people feel unsafe. It makes you feel unsafe. It makes you feel attached to the outcomes. And so the way that I like to express urgency, instead of saying, like, I'll give some examples here. Instead of saying this offer is going away forever, that sounds manipulative as fuck, right? I say doors close on Friday so I can shift into delivery mode with my group, right? Or instead of saying you'll regret it, like, even just saying that makes me, it feels gross. I might say, if this feels like a yes in your body, I'd love to support you. And if it doesn't, I trust that too. If you can start to think about what makes people feel safe, what makes you feel safe whenever you're being sold to. So even though, like, psychologically there is a method to sales, right? Psychologically there is a process that works for sales. It's how you frame it. It's how you lean into the language that feels the most natural, that feels like the way that you actually speak. And so thinking of it as a boundary, not a pitch, right? I can only take 3 clients a month. Here's what's available right now. If you're being pulled, let's explore it together. I'm inviting you in, right? So it's not the half-life of enthusiasm. It's a loving invitation for people to choose, like to choose what they want. And then honoring where that decision is. If they say no, honor that decision, right? Like, I would never want to work with someone who made me feel in any way shameful about saying no because it didn't feel like the right time for me, or because I just invested in this other coaching container, or because we are in the middle of a cross-country move. Like, people will hire support if they want support. Okay. Like, for example, I am not in search of support right now. I have my somatic therapist, I have my one-on-one business coach, my mentor, and that is it. And I am good. However, whenever I was a new mom or about to become a new mom, struggling with an identity shift and a business that I feel like I had to really stabilize before I had this baby, like, I was all over the place. I had 4 different containers that I was landing in. And maybe those investments were a little bit impulsive, but I also know deep in my soul that I needed them. And I have no regrets about any investment that I've made in my business or any investment that I've passed on in my business. Every time I have been really excited to work with somebody, I've ended up working with them, whether that's right away or 2 years later. I truly believe that if people are enthusiastic about working with you, they will work with you. So it's almost like a trust thing too. It's like, do I trust my audience to know whether or not I'm right for them? Whether or not the support in my programs, the support in my containers are what they need? Do I trust their decision making? So your job as the coach is not to close the sale. Your job is not to convert. People will convert if you show up and you're real and you're raw and you're authentic and you're direct, right? You will convert if they trust you. You will convert if you are trustworthy. You're here to build trust with your audience. And so selling doesn't really need to rely on somebody's temporary emotion. It can support them in making the right decision over time. Like, trust that your people will come whenever they're ready. And that's something that you have no control over. You have no control over when people are ready, right? They're not going to be ready because you created urgency. Like, that's desperate energy. That's, hire me so you can get these results fast kind of energy. You want people to hire you because they feel clear. You want to help them get to that clarity. Okay, anything else that I need to say on that? It's interesting. I'd love to know what you guys think about this, because half-life of enthusiasm is a term that I've been hearing since I became a business owner. And there's always been this weird something in my body every time I hear half-life of enthusiasm. I'm like, what is that? It feels off. It feels weird. I don't like it. And I couldn't really put words to it until now, until I, was just in my shower thinking about it today. And I'd love to know what you guys' thoughts are. And if you guys have kind of a similar feeling of like, maybe it's a little bit manipulative, and there's a way that we can reframe that. Like I said, science is science. Like, there is a psychology behind selling. And I totally get that. I totally honor that. And there is also a different way to go about using that psychology while still allowing people to feel empowered in their decision making, while still allowing people to feel safe with you to make a decision and not like you're pushing them or trying to convince them to buy from you. Yeah, kind of a weird take here, but I'd love to hear his thoughts. I always love getting messages from you guys and emails from you after you listen to these episodes, and it just kind of opens up the conversation, right? I think there's a lot of things in marketing and in the online space that people just don't like to talk about because it does feel gross, it does feel weird, and this is one of those things. So I'd love to know what this brought up for you. If this episode stirred something in you, like if you've been sold to in a way that felt off, or maybe you've felt pressure to sell in ways that like don't match your values, that don't feel natural to you, I'd love to hear about them. Make sure to screenshot this episode and share it in your story. Tag me so that we can keep the conversation going. And if you're craving a space where selling feels like a sacred invitation instead of something that you have to push or feel pressured to do, not a pitch, this is kind of my specialty. Like I love helping other heart-centered women find a way to be visible and to sell their offers and to talk about their offers and to connect with people in a way that actually feels natural, that feels like a normal conversation that you would actually have and not like a car salesman. For those of you who are really pulled to learning the language, to learning how to capture your message in a way that doesn't feel gross, that doesn't feel overly salesy, but that feels really direct and empowers people to come to their own decision making, I am launching a new course called Main Character Marketing Lab, and it is all about the strategy behind marketing with main character energy. So really highlighting your individuality, your unique voice, your magic to magnetize people to you and not have to use some type of weird formula that you got from some guru on YouTube that is so disconnected from like the heart-led, heart-centered way of selling. So that link will be in the show notes for you guys. And I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning in today. If this was helpful for you, subscribe to the show to make sure you're always in the loop when a new episode is out. And I would love to invite you to join me in the free Visibility and Tech Support for Coaches community, where we hang out and chat about all things visibility, tech, systems, and heart-centered business building. I regularly share tips and tutorials and go live every now and then, and it's just nice to be in a community with other like-minded coaches and healers. So you can join this free space at alignwellco.com/community, and I can't wait to see you there.